Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Today I'm going to be doing a fun chalkboard, faux chalkboard painting on canvas. We'll be using canvas. You can use chalkboard, I guess, if you wanted to. We'll be doing the black and white theme with some birds in kind of a whimsical folk art style. So I've got my husband Mark here with me today. I'm doing this live.
Hello, everybody.
And he'll answer chat questions if you can and let me know who's watching and all that good stuff. And I will answer as many questions as I can if you've got any. So I prepped my canvas. I've got a 12 by 14 inch canvas panel here, and I prepped it with a coat of carbon black. And I know that there's like black gesso canvases out there right now, but even if you're using a black gessoed canvas, I would go ahead and put a coat of acrylic paint over the gesso, because gesso is so absorbent that if you make any mistakes, since we're going to be using chalk, and I like to wipe off my mistakes if I make any boo-boos or whatever while I'm painting. And with the gesso, it'll be harder to do that because it'll soak in the pigment. But acrylic paint stays a little bit more slick than the gesso, and so it will be a little bit easier to wipe off any mistakes. So I'm not saying you can't do it on black gesso. I'm just saying that, and then if you decided you needed to correct anything and go back in, you'd have to use the same kind of black gesso that they use to prime it, or it might be a little bit off in color. So that's my 2 cents on that. So I'm going to go ahead and put in some branches here, and I meant to have a couple of small canvases to show you what I did. I did this project with a group at our church, and what we did is we had one large canvas for the parents, and they had 2 birds on their canvas, and then each child had their own little mini canvas that set off to the side of the larger canvas for the parent. And we just extended those branches off to go on into the child's canvas. And so that was kind of a fun way to make it a more family project that you could do with your kids, and they get their own bird that they get to decorate however they want. I let the kids pick their color. So anyhow, that was really fun, and that worked out really well. So if you wanted to adapt this, it would be easy to do that. You just extend your branches off into the canvas, set it exactly where you want it to be. So, if you have your adult canvas, I think we did our adult canvases this way to leave more room for the kids' canvases, and we would do maybe one sideways here and one down kind of going below it. And then just when you do your drawing, just extend your branches over into those canvases. I hope I'm explaining that well enough. I'm sorry I don't have a picture for you. But anyhow, so let's get started. So the first thing I want to do is put in my moon, and I think I just kind of wanted to put one right up here in this corner. So I'm going to use, got a few brushes today. You can use either, these are like a 1/4 inch flat, so either one of those, bright or a regular flat. This is an angle brush. I'm not sure if I'll need it, but this is a 3/8 inch angle brush. The filbert is for the moon, but you could use the angle brush or any other flat brush that you happen to have. And then I used a number 4 round and number 2 round. The Robert Simmons number 4 round is my favorite all-time brush, and it's a little bit softer than some of these other ones that are more not like nylon. These are the Robert Simmons titanium line, and they're very firm. So they're great for some things, and then some things where I want a little bit more flexibility, like my comma strokes and things like that we'll be doing in our birds. You need a little bit more softer brush, a little bit more flexible, and you also need a little softer paint. So you could use craft paints for this project, no problem. So, and my color palette is just basically the primaries. I've got Dioxazine Purple, Phthalo Blue, Phthalo Green, Cadmium Yellow. You can use Hansa Yellow if you're worried about cadmium. Cadmium Red, you could use a Pyrrole Red or a Naphthol Crimson instead. Quinacridone Magenta, and this is Carbon Black. You can use any black you want. Mars Black works. Ivory Black's fine. I just happen to like Carbon because it's like really, really deep, dark, solid black. And then this is Titanium White. So that's our basic color palette, but like I said, you can adjust it to whatever colors you want for your birds. The black and white is the main color scheme, and then you can just adjust the other colors to suit your sensibilities. So I think I'm just going to grab my large filbert here, add a little bit of water just to dampen the brush, but I don't want it sopping wet, and I'm going to grab a little bit of this titanium white, and I'm going to start where I want my moon. I think I want it up here in this upper corner, so I'm just going to start kind of holding it upright and doing a little circle and filling in my circle. Now, if you had like a circular sponge, you know, I've used a circle sponge in some of my other videos, you could certainly use that. And now, once I get my color down in the center there, nice and thick, I'm going to kind of wipe off my brush and then just use it to sort of lightly feather out, and it'll sort of dry brush and catch the texture of the canvas. I'm probably going to need 2 coats in the center since it's going on this black. Just trying to keep it sort of in a circle here. You could draw this out if you wanted to ahead of time to give yourself some boundaries. But I'm sort of letting those outside edges sort of be a little bit fuzzy. Now I'm going to wipe that off and grab a little bit of my black. You don't want a lot. I'm just going to go over the edge there. Kind of work it back in over the top. So ideally, if you wanted to, when you put on your black paint while it was still wet, you could put on your white and work it into the black. So this is just giving it a little bit of a gray cast around the outside edges there. Clean that out well. I'm going to let that set, and we'll do another coat on that once it's dry. Since we put it on so thinly, it'll dry quickly, and we don't want to mess with it while it's drying because it'll lift the color off the canvas. If you've ever had that happen, you know what I'm talking about. It's really frustrating because you're trying to do a second coat on something and it's not even covering because your first coat wasn't dry yet, and so the paint gets sticky and it just lifts right off. It sticks to your brush. So okay, let's see. I think I want to do 3 birds. So I think I'm going to start with my birds so that I can get those placed where I want them, and then I'll work my branches around them. So I'm going to leave enough room down here for my branch, and I'll put this first bird kind of, actually, let's put him right in the middle. So I'm going to do a circle for the head. And I've just got regular chalk. You could use a watercolor pencil if you wanted. Just whatever you happen to have. And that's about an inch circle. And then I'm going to do an oval shape, kind of going underneath. And then we'll cut it off at the end here. So instead of doing a regular oval, I'm kind of doing a teardrop, I guess I should say, like that. Then the tail is going to come up from that. And we'll probably do a thick tail, but I don't need that detail. I'm just going to do the basic outline of my bird. That's all you need to do. He looks good. Let's go ahead and give him a couple of legs. So go halfway and then go behind the halfway mark for his legs and angle them in toward the head. So it'll be kind of the same angle as the tail, just about, for his 2 legs. So now we know where the branch should go. So we know that there's a branch right there. Then let's go ahead and put one up here. Let's put him right here. So I'm going to do another circle, and I'm trying to do the circles about the same size so the birds end up generally the same size. For this one, I'm going to do my oval again, but I'm going to do it kind of like this. So this comes straight down off the back, continues for the tail, and then he might have gotten a little bit too long there. The tail and the section from the head to the tail are the same length. So that line cut in half is where you want your body of the bird to end, right there. Okay, so if you measure that to that, we could make his tail a little bit longer on this one. That makes sense? And then his beak will come out this way. This one's beak is going to come out this way. And it's just pretty much right smack dab in the center of that circle. Then up here, let's do another bird. Let's do him nice and high. Right about, I don't know, the third mark. Another 1-inch circle. And then this time his oval shape is going to go like this. Actually, did that opposite what I wanted. Wanted it to go like this. There we go. So I made it a little bit too wide. It does come to a point. Just doesn't go out that far. So this kind of gets smoothed out right there, that transition. Try to keep it kind of straight if you can. And so that line coming down from the head is going to be his tail. That's good. I may have made his tail a little bit. I might make his tail a little bit flatter so it doesn't, so we have room for some leaves to come down in this way. So if you decide to change something, just lightly dampen a towel and wipe it off. Come right off. Okay, that's good. I think that that's good for our placement of our birds. Not too hard. I know some people were saying that they can't draw, but I'm certainly you can draw some circles. They're a lot easier than you might think. And these are supposed to be folk art, so they don't have to be perfect looking anyways. We're just kind of doing sort of a bird-ish shapes. They're certainly not perfect. And also, I'll do a traceable of this after the show, and I'll have it on my Facebook page, my Thankful Art page. So if you want these bird traceables, you can have them. When I did it in my class, I was going to say there's a really, really good Americana stencil set that's got all these different bird shapes. And so you could totally just trace out your stencils onto your canvas with something like this, or even stencil the main outline and then do your decorations over the top. That is not cheating. Whatever way gives you good results and it makes you happy, do it. These are the little templates that I made when I did it with our adult and kids class thing that I did at our church. There was different kinds of birds, different sizes, and I just made these off of cardstock. I drew them on paper, cut them out, and then that way the kids could trace them, and the adults too that didn't want to draw it, because we're kind of on a time schedule. So that's another option too. Okay, I'm wasting time here, sorry. Got her spent 15 minutes talking about what you could do with this. Sorry. Let's get the painting. Okay, so for this one, we're going to do a branch coming in like this, going to come in underneath his body, and then we'll angle it up this way toward this one. Actually, let's go right up under his tail, a little higher than that, where his legs would, like he's sitting on that branch. Then we'll put some leaves down here. The leaves are just these kind of teardrop shapes, kind of very simple. Let's do one up this direction. Kind of pointing off there. We'll do a big flower over here somewhere. Let's put a flower down in here. Just gonna placing. Now it's just a matter of kind of filling in all of these empty spaces. So I've got room for a branch up here. So I'm just trying to make these Y shapes at the junctions so that it makes sense what our branches are doing here. Let's put a flower right up there. Let's put another flower right in here. We'll put a couple of leaves this way. I don't want too much going over the top of my moon because these are going to be white, so they won't show up against the white moon. So, okay, so let's bring this branch down this way. We'll put some leaves down this open area. Any open spaces like this, try to kind of work in a branch and leaves. Let's do some flowers down here. I'll do a couple of flowers right there. I think I'm going to do circular flowers for this one, a little bit more whimsical than the example. The example I did kind of clusters of flowers. I'll show how to do that too if you prefer that. But I'm going to and let's see, one down here. Maybe do another flower up there. So flower, 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 leaf. I think that's pretty good. I think most of our areas, let's fill in this empty space right there. Maybe do another one up here. That's good. I think maybe one more down here and go in this direction. Small one right there. Okay, you can make it as full as you want to with your leaves. They're actually really fun, so kind of like having it really full with the leaves. I'm going to erase that one and make it a little bit more like that. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and just kind of, if I erased anything, just kind of try to clean that up a little bit before I start painting. Okay, that's good. Let's get these branches in. I'm going to grab my 1/4" flat brush and some white. Grab a little bit of black to make it a little bit softer. So it's not straight white, but it's still very light. Adding a little bit of water to make it fluid. You could use a fluid acrylic or a craft acrylic for this if you have a gray color or you have black and white in the craft acrylics. You can totally use those. And I'm going to start out with my branch brush going flat and full width. And as I get toward the outer edges, I'm going to turn it to its side so that it's more narrow. So this branch is going to get thinner as it gets out toward the leaves. How are we doing on chat, honey?
Oh, doing well. Everybody's coming in. Had a few comments on your fingernail polish there. And
oh yeah, I almost did black, but I decided to go ahead and do the blue that matched the bird. It had been a while since I'd done blue. I felt like some color this week. Okay, so that's about it. It's okay if it's a little bit see-through. We're going to do another coat with a little bit of white to solidify it a little bit. So yeah, the Mark kind of outed me on my Thankful Art page on Facebook. He posted a picture of my fingernail polish supplies. And
well, you had a lot of people ask in the past if you had more fingernail polish or more paint. So
I definitely have more paint. I have more paint, but it's a close thing. I can definitely say I have more paint. So I'm just going to, don't worry about going over the top of the tail of the bird. We're just going to cover that right up and we'll go back in and put that back in when we paint in our bird.
Mary Hill wants to know what size brush you're using.
This is a number 2 Robert Simmons titanium. Each painting company has different sizes of these brushes. So this one is a number 2 as well. And in the Master's Touch, it's a number 8 in the same Simply Simmons line, and it is a, let me see if I can find the other one. So basically it's a 1/4 inch flat that will help you. This one, it's a number 1. They're a little bit different sizes, but the numbers vary even within brands, because Robert Simmons and Simply Simmons are really the same brush company, and those two brushes were totally different numbers. So really not sure how they come up with the number systems, but that's why I've been starting to just kind of give you the size of the width. That way you can kind of figure it out from there. I think I want to put another leaf in here this way. I feel like he's kind of out by and lonesome. I think I can fit another one right in there.
Okay, so I think a challenge has been laid out by Amber Hale. She claims that she has only 200 fingernail polishes.
Whoa. I think she beat me by a mile. I have a feeling I have probably maybe 40, if that. So, wow, 200. That's awesome. Is she a nail technician? Is that why, or is she?
No.
Do you have a valid excuse for that, is my question.
She says it was her passion before she found painting.
Oh, very nice. I totally understand that. If I could paint with my left hand, I would totally do some cool patterns and things on my nails, but that is not happening. I can barely get poor Mark, he's my nail technician lately. I give him this hand and he has to clean up all my edges with my little correction pen. He helps me. It's sad how badly I probably should practice more. It would be helpful to be able to paint with my left hand for sure. Okay, I think that's good. I think I also want another little one right off him as well. Okay, looking good. Now I'm just going to start filling in my leaves. I'm going to get a little bit of my fluid golden acrylic. It'll make this just a little bit easier to fill these in. A little bit softer, but it's still just as opaque as the heavy body. You're going to need 2 coats, so don't worry about it too much when you... Actually, I think I'm going to mix a little bit of my heavy body in there. See if that helps cover better. So I just am using the outside edge of my brush to fill it in. Whatever brush you're comfortable with. It doesn't have to be this one. It could be any size. But just whatever brush you like. I also tried it with my number 4 round. My number 4 round worked, but it was a little bit soft. This one kind of gets the job done a little faster. And I also brought out that angle brush because I thought if this gave me trouble, I could use my angle brush. But it seems to be doing okay. This is just solid white. I'm going to fill in all of these leaves here. go ahead, while I've got this on here, I think I'm going to go ahead and use this brush to fill in the center of my moon a little bit more. That works. Whoop. Go a little bit farther out there than I intended. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Do I need to zoom this in at all, or is this okay for today, for now?
It looks
Maybe when I
good.
do the
Yeah, it
birds.
looks good for now. Maybe when you get some more detail on the birds and stuff.
Okay. I'm just going to quickly fill these in. You can take your time with it. Mainly you just kind of want your tip there to have a nice sharp point. That's why I was thinking that the angle brush might be helpful, because it could get into that. Let me switch over to that and show you what it looks like.
Okay, I missed a question from Patricia. She said that she has trouble going over the chalk sometimes. Any tips? Because the chalk gets in her brush and then can't get a smooth line.
Yeah, I mean, if you're having trouble with that, you could use a watercolor pencil instead if it's really troubling you. I usually just go over the line a couple of times if it's doing that until that chalk kind of gets absorbed. But yeah, that's pretty common with the chalk. It definitely has its drawbacks. It's, it's easier to clean up, but it is a little bit messy. And it does smear like that. You could try, what you might do, Patricia, is just set down your paper towel and lightly dab off some of the chalk. Not necessarily smudge it, but just kind of get off some of that extra dust. And that might make it easier to paint over, just as long as you could still see your outlines. So I'm going to turn this, and if I put my point right at the tip there and just pull down, you can get a nice pointy edge on my leaves there. And then just turn it around to do the other side.
Linda wants to know if golden fluid would be considered a soft body or Liquitex basic.
It's actually thinner than your craft paints would be. So it's not even a soft body. It's definitely a fluid. It's just one step thicker than an ink, like their high flow or their inks. It's very liquid, and what you can do with them, which is nice, so if you're concerned about the cost and you don't want to invest in both heavy body acrylics and the fluid acrylics, what you can do is get yourself the fluid acrylics in all the colors that you want, and buy a gel medium and add the fluid acrylics to the gel medium, and that makes them a heavy body acrylic. So it changes the thickness of it without altering the pigment load. Your pigment load would be the same as a heavy body acrylic. You just saving a little bit of money. I mean, I've priced it out, and the cost difference is not that much. Like, by doing that, it's not generally cheaper than mixing, mixing your own heavy body acrylics is not necessarily cheaper, but it is in the long run if you're going to buy both and you don't use them that often. If you need both the liquid and the fluid and the heavy body acrylics, that's a way to get both. and not have to buy 2 bottles of paint. If that makes sense. And then the gel medium you can use for whatever. It works for all kinds of different stuff. So. And I actually did that in the Kiss, the Klimt one that I did. I used a gold paint and I thickened it up with a heavy body gel. Now, the gels come in different thicknesses, you know, so if you want it really super thick for, you know, if you were doing palette knife paintings or something like that and you wanted a really thick, heavy body paint, you could use a heavy gel medium and get really nice, thick, messy paint things. So that was a good question, yeah. Because there are times when you kind of want the more fluid acrylics. I went ahead and bought the big bottle because I found that I've been using this white, the high flow white a lot, because I tend to do more of the decorative painting effects, especially with the flowers and things. And it just helps having a little bit more fluid than the heavy body acrylics. And you can see I pretty much ignore my chalk lines. Once I get the paint on, I can kind of tell how big I want my leaves. So don't feel like you have to use your chalk lines. If you get in there and see that you need it different, go for it. The chalk will come right off. Just make sure that you paint your background maybe a day ahead if you're going to be wiping off the chalk or any paint, because you need to give it time to cure. Otherwise, it might lift the paint just a little bit. You can always go back over it with a little bit of black paint. But okay, we're almost done here. Let's see, 35 minutes. Okay, we're doing okay. We're doing a little bit better on time now. Probably should have filled in my birds first, but give those a chance to dry because they did take 2 coats. I think the angle brush is definitely easier to use than the 1/4 inch. And you could probably even do your branches with the 1/4 inch or the angle brush. If you got a smaller, like 1/4 inch angle brush, you could do your branches with it instead of the large flat if you wanted to.
So why are you calling this a chalkboard canvas?
Because it's kind of faux chalkboard. It's the chalkboard style with the black and white, but it's not real chalkboard. I did another series with the letter and the flower, like the wreath, with the chalkboard. So this is the kind of second one in that series. I'm going to do several, I think, with the kind of, it's just a popular trend right now. Decorating, you see a lot of chalkboard stuff everywhere. So we're kind of doing our own fake chalkboard, but you could totally do this on a real chalkboard. Chalkboard accepts paint pretty well, actually. You just want to seal it afterwards with a good spray acrylic, and it's a little bit more slick, so you just might need a couple more coats. Oops, I forgot my branch right there. Let's get a branch on that guy. There we go.
I'm surprised you can even find chalkboards anymore.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere. Hobby Lobby is like chalkboard central. Oops, and I forgot my leaf over here. Let's go ahead and put a leaf in there. they've got a whole aisle with all kinds of chalkboard, different sizes, shapes, all kinds of different things with chalkboard. Pieces. So.
Okay, question from Linda asking, what exactly is soft body paint?
Soft body is just a just kind of what it sounds like. It's a softer acrylic. It's a little bit thicker than Liquitech Basics. If you have any Liquitech Basics, it's basically a soft body. It's kind of in between a soft body and a heavy body acrylic. You know, the heavy body are these ones that hold their peak. You know, you can kind of see the peak in the paint there. So they're, I can just spray that. So the soft body would be softer than that. Basically, it wouldn't be as thick and solid, but it's definitely not as fluid as the craft paints or the liquid acrylics that I'm using today. Okay, clean that out really well. Let's go ahead and let me see. I think I could probably use this brush on my birds. Let's go ahead and use it on my birds. I'm going to mix up a turquoise. If you have phthalo turquoise, you could just use that color. I just decided to mix up. I needed both of these colors, so I thought I'd just mix it this time. So I'm mixing pretty much equal parts blue, phthalo blue, and phthalo green here to make phthalo turquoise. And I'm going to grab some white to it. Make a pretty bright turquoise. The white will help make it a little bit more opaque since both of those colors are transparent, which will show up better against the black. If you tried to do the turquoise without a little bit of white added to it, well, one, it would be almost as dark as your chalkboard, and two, it wouldn't show up really against the chalkboard. So I'm just going to fill in this first bird. And tell Patricia too, she was asking about the chalk getting in your way. If it's also bothering you, what you could do is come just inside it, like I'm doing here, and leave the chalk on the outside edges and then wipe it off later. And that way you don't have to deal with the chalk as much. This one's wiped off down here, so it's a little bit easier to handle.
There's some deep questions today about paint that hopefully you can understand, because I don't.
Okay. Okay.
Which is, when using phthalo blue, is it always the green shade? And when would you use the red shade?
The red shade is very similar to ultramarine blue, so if you wanted to use it instead of ultramarine blue, you could do that. It's just a little bit more on the, well, on the red side of the scale. So anywhere that you used ultramarine blue, you could use the phthalo blue pretty much. And then the phthalo green, this is the yellow shade of phthalo green. And it has a blue shade too that's a little bit more on the turquoise side. So, but I always use the green, the phthalo green yellow shade, and the phthalo blue green shade, because it's more green leaning. It's a little bit more turquoisey when you add the white to it. It's more of a baby blue with just touches of, it's kind of this color when you add white to it. So, and then the green, added green, just makes it even more turquoise. So of course I really like turquoise. So that's going to take a second coat, but we'll let it set for now. And let's go ahead and put in our pink bird. And I need some more white. This is Quinacridone Magenta with white. And let's do our birdie. I think I want my heavy body white. I think it might cover a little bit better. So if you notice, I'm always pulling just from the side of the puddle. I don't try to take the whole thing and make a big mess out of it. I just, if you kind of pull in from the side, scoop it up on your brush, and then kind of squeegee it off in one little spot and try to kind of keep it in one place, because otherwise it'll just keep spreading and spreading and kind of take over your palette. So if it starts getting too far over, just kind of pull it all back up onto your brush and just squeegee it off back into a spot there. It's little things like that that used to drive me crazy when I first started painting. I don't want my paints touching. Too anal. Oops, I'm getting my hair in the shot. Sorry. I think I'm going to make his body a little bit, not quite so deep there. This one's not wanting to cover as well. You're awfully quiet today, hon. I can hear you typing over there.
Oh, I'm recording some stuff down here, so just watching people's chats.
Recording. He's got a I'm going to tell him. Got a data. He made me a spreadsheet. Of course, that's the engineer.
Excel rocks.
I need to get you a shirt that says that. I think I'll make you one. Okay, so we filled that in. Looks good. Now this is where you can kind of see your outline of your bird, see if you need to make any changes or adjustments, but I think he looks pretty good. So I think I just made these guys a little bit bigger than my example ones. Lean that out really well. This 3/8 inch angle brush is working really well for this, so I need to add it to my description after the show because I didn't use it in mine. Example one. Okay, so now down here I have a yellow one, but I added a little bit of red to it to make it a little bit more, add a little bit more water. A little bit more red to it. This is cadmium red, just to kind of make it a little bit orangey. Not quite so in your face yellow. You can even add a little bit of white to it to soften it up even more. That'll be good. And don't worry if you can see through the black. It's pretty normal at this stage. You're going to need 2 coats. When I did this at the church with the big group, we did it with a cream colored background. So the birds were a little bit easier to fill in on top of the cream. Didn't need 2 coats like this does. Some colors are just easier to cover over than others. But I find it's easier to just paint my backgrounds in solid, and then some people might have painted around these birds with the black and done the birds. I find it's way easier to paint your whole background solid and then paint on top of your background instead of painting around your items. Painting around each one of these leaves would take forever. So even though it might take 2 coats to cover it, it's still faster than having to go around them with the black paint. Okay, aren't they cute? I can't stand it. Birds, you know, this is like the combination of, like, this is the trifecta of Angela happiness right here, because you've got the birds, you're going to have flowers, and you're going to have the tree. And if you've seen any of my other videos, if you're a first time person here, I'm so glad to have you watching. That's awesome. And be sure to check out my other videos. If you like birds and trees and flowers, you're at the right place, because I have a lot of videos of trees and birds and flowers. Just my thing. As Cinnamon would say, that's my jam. That is okay. And then I'm going to put my tail out. Let's see. Let's do it. I'll fill in that little spot right there. Do 2 lines. It's going to be a little bit narrower at the base here, and then this one's going to kind of fan out a little bit. Same thing with this one. It was a little bit narrower where it touched the body, and then it fanned out a little bit. And you can get as creative as you want with these birds. You could make their tails nice and wide. This is your little fantasy bird, so you can give him whatever colors you want. When we start the decorations, you can go crazy on it and give him all kinds of fun stuff. Okay, we're good on that. Let's go ahead and put in some of our flowers. Now I decided to go ahead and use a paint dabber. If you don't have one of these, they are, I think they came in a set of 2 like this, and they're pretty cheap, like a couple dollars or something. They're in the stencil section of your hobby stores. So, and I think I'll put a link down in the description, because I think you can get on Amazon with a bunch of other sponges and things. It's kind of a multi-pack set with like sponge brushes and different things. So you could totally do this with sponge brushes, and the background especially could be put on with a sponge brush. Probably not the leaves though. Okay, so I think that that's about the size I want. I might have to make it a little bit bigger on some of these, but I'm going to go ahead and let's see. I did purple before, but I think I'm going to do kind of multicolored flowers. So I want to, this is where having some craft acrylics probably help, and I have a ton of them. I'm just too lazy to go get them out. But if you have craft acrylics, they probably will work better for this technique than these heavy body acrylics. But I'm going to go ahead and mix up a light purple using my white and purple paints. Pick up, I don't know if that's enough. Brush it off on there. See, these sponges take up a lot of paint. Yeah, that worked. So set it down and kind of twist it in place. Make sure that you dampen it, but don't sop it wet, because you don't want, once you press down on it, it'll create a little puddle of water, and that you definitely don't want that to happen. So I think I'm just going to randomly place a few purple ones here and there, kind of evenly space them out. That's probably good. Maybe one more up here. And then, like I said, if you don't have this, you can just use your brush and fill it in a little circle with your brush. No biggie. All right, let's see. Clean that out. See, I feel like I missed out by having no flowers over there. I feel like I needed a flower over here somewhere. Oh well. I don't know if I can fit one in there. Probably not. I could probably fit one down there. Might be kind of low. Talking to myself here, sorry. No. Design choice probably would have gotten rid of this dude and put a flower there instead, but that's all right. That's the fun of life. Gotta go with the flow. Okay, let's see, what other colors do we want? Let's do a light red. I'm gonna take the cadmium red and add a little bit of the, that's a pretty color. A little bit of white to the cadmium red, be kind of a soft watermelon. Definitely not enough paint. Let's do it right here. Ooh, that's pretty. Kind of a coral color almost. There we go. Put one up here. Be good. And I'll do one more down here. Well, no, I'll do another color for that one. Okay. How you doing, honey?
I'm doing good. You're not talking to yourself, so
I'm not.
because everybody's listening to you.
Okay, good.
And people are admitting that they talk to themselves too, so.
I'm very bad about it. Very. I do it in the car most of all. Okay, just make sure that this is dry and gently, very gently wipe off your chalk there. My leaves are mostly dry and my stems are definitely dry at this point. My birds are dry, I think. Oops, I didn't want to get rid of his beak there, or legs, but oh well. Just got a damp paper towel here doing this. Just cleaning up my little chalk marks. Now we can see what we've got going on easier. Okay, I think these purple ones are pretty much dry. Go ahead and erase that one because I know where that's going to go. I'll erase that one too because I know that one's going to have one right there. Okay, that's good. Let's go clean up his legs too since we're at it. All right, now we've got a clean slate. I think I want a turquoise flower down here, and we're going to pretend that that's a thing. My perfect world, there would be turquoise flowers. Did that in one of my other videos too. I added some turquoise flowers. All right, there's good. And then, see, I feel like I could probably add one right here without being too close to that guy. So I'm going to add another one up here. There we go. And we'll add another flower here. I think I want a pink one. I'm going to use yellow for some of the details in them, so I don't know if I want to do yellow. Well, probably fit another one in there, maybe there. Still feel like I want a flower over here, but I don't know if I can fit one in. Okay.
We may need to put a link to your paper towels also, the heavy duty ones there.
They're awesome. I buy them in bulk. They're the shop towels. They're called shop towels. They go there. If you have a Walmart, they are in the automotive section in the back of the store. And they really last a long time. If you can't find these, then I would suggest Viva paper towels. Those are the only other ones that can kind of stand up to the abuse of painting. Other ones kind of just fall apart. They're like tissue paper, but the Viva stay together pretty well too. So if you see me with white paper towels, I just don't have any with me in my studio today, but they're Viva. And not the new ones that have the waffle design. It's the old ones that are the better ones. I don't know. Okay, let me see here. One more flower there. Let's go ahead and just do why is this so hard for me today? Can't figure it out. Okay, we'll do pink. We'll do yellow. We'll go ahead and do a yellow one. Yeah. We'll do it soft. Oh, got a little green in there, if that's okay. This is a true yellow. It's a little bit different than this color. Right there. Ooh, that's bright. I don't know if I like that. I don't like that. I can just tell you right there. That was too much. I'll wipe that right off. I think I'm just going to leave it. Put a leaf there or something. I don't feel like I want to introduce another color right now.
Is there going to be a yellow flower for the yellow bird?
Well, I just put a yellow flower, but I don't like the color. Didn't you see that? You weren't watching, were you? Just wiped off my yellow flower. I caught you not watching.
I was watching the chat, not the actual painting, sorry. But I hear you twice, so obviously I missed stuff, so.
Yeah, that would be weird. You need to not listen to the broadcast. Okay, I'll fill that back in because I got a little water on it. Let's put a little bit more color on top of that. Okay, let's go ahead and give these birds a second coat. So give some of that turquoise color mixed up. Again, this one doesn't need a whole lot. And it's okay if it's not exactly the same color, just as long as it's close. Just blend it out there. That's good. Yellow with the red. That's too much red. There we go. Some white. We're not really doing a whole lot of detail on the body of the bird, so you want it to be solid because it's going to show. Like I'm not doing any realistic type feathers where it would cover up most of the body. So I kind of want it to be nice. Got this hair that keeps wanting to get in the shot. There we go. Get out. Oops, I'm leaning forward too far. Give that a nice second coat there. This is kind of the boring part of painting. It gets better, trust me. This part is kind of tedious because you're just kind of having to fill in, but the last few little steps is what really makes it fun and special. Well, you can kind of have some patience through this part. Get to the good part. A lot of people get to this part and they kind of give up because they think it doesn't look good. Let's do the pink. That's just Quinacridone Magenta and white. We'll really brighten up these colors too, because right now they're a little bit dark. You are awfully quiet today, Annie.
Oh, we've had some morons come in and make some statements, so I'm just keeping an eye on the chat.
Okay.
Just I'm concerned that your pink bird doesn't have a beak.
Yeah, that's the joy of a live chat. You get some real winners in there sometimes. So mixing up a little bit more of that soft red color, the cadmium red and white, and now that I've got my circle in, I'm just going to kind of fill in again, brighten up my circles, have that color. Okay. And I think the purple looked pretty good, so I'll give them one more coat, but I don't know that they need much. I'm going a little bit lighter this time so that they're a little bit brighter. There we go. I'm not all that talkative today. I don't know. I think I talked myself out this week.
Well, I've told everybody that we need to get 100 likes before we can see Stickman. And
Yes.
we're only at 69 likes, so it looks like Stickman will.
He's not making an appearance today until we get 100 likes. I think that that's a good plan. And you share it. That is one thing that is super helpful, is if you like and comment and share, kind of helps. Well, it helps me with YouTube for some reason. I don't know, with the way they rank videos and things. It helps my searchability. The more searching or shares that I get and that kind of thing, it helps me in the Google. If people Google, blackbird birds or something like that, if I've had a lot of shares, it helps me be higher up on that list on Google somehow. I don't know how it works exactly, but that's what I've heard at least. So anytime you share it on Pinterest or Instagram, if you do it, or anything like that, it helps. Share it on Facebook if you know people that like to paint. I'm just going to give these a second coat here too. I feel like maybe they could have been more of a mint green. A little bit more green turquoise. Should have worked out these colors ahead of time. It's not really smart to do it on live because I'm having a lot of pauses for thinking. Okay, so I think we're good on our basic. We'll need a second coat on our leaves for sure, but all of our birds have a good coat. Let's go ahead and put in their beaks. And I just made an orange out of the yellow and magenta. Makes a brighter orange. A little bit more magenta. Add some white to make it more opaque. Well, cadmium yellow is already an opaque color, so it should do all right. I've got my number 2 round. And I'm just going to start at the tip and press down, pull toward the body there. And the beak actually goes in on the face a little bit, like a little V shape right there. So if you want to get real fancy, you can fill it in over the top of the face just a little bit. You can't really see it against that bird, but you do it on this one. Toward the tip. Just make sure you roll your brush to a good point. Just kind of using the tip of it to draw it in there. Let me zoom in on this one so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. So his little beak is, this was our circle, right? So it's about halfway, like that. And then it just widens up as it meets the body, not too wide. Then there's a little V shape right here where it attaches to the head. Okay, and zoom back out. Do it like that so we're a little bit closer to it. And then we'll use this color for the legs too. So his legs, if you find the halfway mark, go behind the halfway mark and angle it in towards the beak. So you're angling it down toward the branch. It kind of has a leg that comes down there, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. I'm just going to put like 2 little lines and then a couple little lines down for the feet that are attaching to the branch there. Same thing. Oh, look what I did. I put my hand in that one. Thank goodness for paper towels. Kind of thickened it up altogether. I'm just going to wipe it off and try it again there. There we go. So halfway mark, go behind that, angle it in and down. And just kind of 2 little dabs for the straight down and curving in just a little bit for the little feet. And this little guy, his feet are not showing, so you don't have to put those in. Okay. Let's hurry it up here. Sorry, we're getting to over an hour here. Put in our second coat on our leaves. Oops. Got a little turquoise in my brush. Clean it out better.
You need to find some paintings where you're going to need some drying going on, because it's been several episodes where I have not had to use a dryer.
I know. Well, I was trying to relieve you of those duties, but if you want me to, I'm sure I can find. Drying just doesn't make for good TV. But I know you're missing it. Okay, let's keep on filling in our leaves here. The second coat will just kind of help make them a little bit more solid. I kind of figured that this one would be a little bit longer show. I figured it'd be about an hour and a half, but it may go even longer than that because I spent so much time talking about it at the very beginning. But it's not difficult, it's just a little bit time consuming with all these little leaves. You kind of just have to take your time with it. little too fast there. A little bit louder. Yeah, I've got this new microphone. I think it's a little bit soft. Not really sure what the deal is with it. Trying to figure out. I dropped my other microphone in the paint, in my paint, like mic side down right into the paint. So it didn't really do much for the audio quality. It was crackling, and I tried to get the paint out of it, but it was like down in the cracks, and I think it ruined it. So I bought myself a fancy new microphone this week, but this is my first show using it, so I still haven't worked out all the levels and figured out how loud I need to talk. So I need to talk a little bit louder, I guess. Is that better?
I'll find out once the chat catches up here.
Okay. I do talk softer when I'm kind of getting in that zen zone of painting too. Toward the end of the painting, I noticed that on my videos too. My videos start out loud, and then the longer that I paint, the softer my voice gets. They get more zenned out, just kind of relaxed, and sounds good. Okay. Just need to use my little bit more loudness. So this would definitely be the part, if I did this, I may do a time lapse on this one. In fact, I probably will. This is the perfect kind of video for a time lapse because it's like speed up the leaves. Do the leaves, do 1 or 2 leaves, show you how, and then speed it up so that you don't have to sit through and watch me do each and every little one of them. So I think I will definitely do a time lapse of this week. And I did finally get my, for those who watched last week's live show, I did the nautical sea creatures. And so for those who wanted to draw them, I did get my drawing video out this couple days ago, or yesterday maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. So that's done. They're really not that hard to draw. It's kind of like these. I mean, really, basically, if as long as anything, as long as you break it down into its easy parts, it's usually pretty good. Okay, almost done here with this. Sorry, it's taking forever. And once you're done with these leaves, what you can do is use whatever paint's left on your brush. You don't need a lot. And I'm just going to dry brush the upper half of these branches here. Just kind of using what's left, barely pressing down, just letting it kind of skim along the branch to drop a little highlight on it. Might need a little bit more paint in some places. Just kind of keeping it on the upper half of the branch. You kind of pull down if you want it to get a little fancier. Just give it a little added detail and brighten up those branches a little bit. Okay, looking good. All right, so now I'm gonna grab my number 2 brush again. And let's start putting in some details on these birds. Whoop. So I'm going to take the original color of whatever the bird was. So the pink one, I'm going to just make another pink, but use a lot more white with it. So it's mainly white, probably 2 to 3 shades lighter than my original color. And I'm just going to go in here and make a little dot for the eye. The eye is going to be just above the halfway mark of the beak. So if you kind of pick the beak halfway, it's going to come just behind it and above. Do a little circle for that. You could use the back end of your brush if you're using a craft paint. These heavy body acrylics are a little too thick to do that. And then I'm going to roll it to a point. Add a little bit of water to my paint so that it's a little bit smoother.
Can you zoom in on the next one that you do?
Let's do that. So I'm going to set my brush down on the inside so I can still see the dark color on either side of it, and just set it down and sort of lift and pull it in toward the body. Just doing kind of a light dry brush. And then the wing section, if you want to draw it in, you can. The wing section is going to be a smaller, it's not working, I'll use the chalk. It's going to be a smaller, the same shape as the body was, but it's like a little teardrop shape like that. It kind of comes in like that. So I'm going to go use that as my guideline. I'm going to do a few little dots on the outside of it. So few little dots just to the top, and then I'm going to start doing some little small set down, pull, little set row of kind of almost like straight comma strokes. They're not really curved at all. Then I'm going to go kind of in between and do a little bit longer ones. Fill that in. And then I'm going to do long ones that kind of start at the outside and curve in. Start and just fill it in and have them all end at the end here. And I'm lifting off so that it's kind of dry brushing. It's not solid. Okay, and that's pretty much it for the decorations. I'll go back in with a little bit of white on the tip of my brush and kind of highlight each one of these a little bit, just with a little dab of paint maybe. If you get them bright enough the first time, you might not need to do this. I just did it on mine. And like I said, you could use any number of different colors. Like if you wanted to use, I don't know, yellows or whatever, or use different colors for each row, you could use a different color. I mean, you could have a lot of fun with it. So just however detailed you want to get. Fun, really cute. I'm going to make sure that that one's nice and dark right there. Okay. I'm going to grab a little bit of yellow and mix that with my white there. Put a little bit of that at the top of his beak, just to fill that in a little bit brighter. Let's do it on this guy's too. Whoop. And this one up here. Okay, let's use this color now on our flowers. It's got some yellow in it, but that's all right. I'm going to just do some same kind of thing. Set your brush down and just lift and pull toward the center. Very simple. I'm not trying to be super clean with these. Just going to kind of add another little added detail to my little flowers here. Give it an open area in the middle there because we're going to add another color. Okay, cute. Let's do our little pink bird or yellow bird. Let's clean that out. And for him, I used red, a little bit of white, which is that color there. And I gave him a little bit of a mask, so I set it down right above the beak, and I pulled a line kind of across the top there. Then his wing is going to do the same thing. It's going to kind of mimic that shape, so it's going to be dots along the top and then smaller lines there, another set of smaller lines, a little bit longer, and then long lines from the outside all the way to that point there, and then just fill in with those long lines till you can't fit anymore. Then the tail will get a couple of long lines coming in like that. And then to do extra detail, add a little bit more white to it. And you can add a little highlight to those if you want. Cute. Then I used a little bit of white to outline this guy too, just to outline this mask here, and a little bit of white detail in the tail. You can even put a little bit on his body there if you want, maybe give him a white belly. Okay, that's good. Now this guy, my turquoise bird. So I'm going through a lot of this white today. I'm going to use the Phthalo Blue with the white. Make a soft blue color. It doesn't take much blue to tint this white color, so this probably needs more. I'll have to use that whole puddle. That may still not be light enough, but we can see. So I did some little dots. That looks all right. So the lid loaded up nice and thick, and then you can do little dots along the top of his head with the tip of your brush. then his wings are going to kind of split down the middle, so they'll be kind of this thing going on like that. So I'm going to do 3 little lines here, longer lines in between. I'm not being super careful. You can see you can be a lot more, you know, a lot more perfect with your brush strokes if you want to be. I'm just being a little bit messy. Let's start from the outside, do lines in. If you set it down, you'll get a little bit thicker head on the tip of your brush stroke. So just set down your brush a little bit before you start pulling. You get a little bit thicker line. Isn't that cute? Super easy. For the tail, I'm going to do the opposite. Same thing that I did with the other ones. Just set it down and pull it up. Pull it up and lift. I'm not moving my hand at all. I'm just going to setting it down, pulling it, and the brush is going to automatically lift because once it gets to here, it's not touching the canvas anymore. So if you hold it just at the right kind of level, it will do the work for you. You won't have to even worry about how you're lifting. I think that looks pretty good. And this guy also has a circle for the eye, so just go right like that. Let's use that color in our flowers. I think I want to outline my purple flower with this. Huh? Keep staying loud. Am I getting too soft again? Sorry. This just makes them a little bit more folk art type, you know. I don't know. It kind of goes with the birds a little bit more than my other flowers in my example did. And let's go ahead and do the centers of the blue ones with this color. Just do a little circle in each one of these blue ones. That looks good. Okay, let me zoom out so you can see what we've got going on so far. Crazy flowers. Okay, so in the yellow, let's go ahead and make some of this body color up. We'll use that color to do some, let's just do a spiral in this one. Start at the center. Start at the center and just kind of use the tip to draw it out in a spiral. If this stresses you out, you can just do this to them. Cute. Very funky. These are definitely weird. And let's go ahead and grab some black. Clean that off, or twist my brush really well. Get a nice point. And I'm going to go in and give each one of my leaves a little center stem in black. Doing okay on?
I'm doing good.
Hand in the paint there.
Oh, you're doing good. We may need to see Stickman here. We're only at 80 thumbs up, but
Uh-oh.
we might just have to do it.
What do I need to give him today? Does he need a little bird on his shoulder?
Yeah, that's been a recommendation to have a bird added.
Alright, let's grab Stickman here. Grab some of my blue paint since I got some blue. I'll put a little bird right here. Give him a little bit. Nope, it's a little goopy. There he is. He got his little bird sitting on his hat. Poor thing. It's looking pretty sad. Oh my goodness. Now let's use this yellow in the centers of our flowers over here too. These purple ones. I don't know that I like these flowers as well as the other ones. I don't know. They're different. Oh, I forgot to do this one. Wow. Completely left this one out. They are kind of cute though. They're different. They kind of go with the birds more than the other one did. Well, I'm out of my pink color, so I'm going to have to make some more. Pink. Had a little tiny bit of yellow in it. It's starting to rain here. Alright. Need a little bit of the blue outlining. Good. Okay, let's see. I need to do something on these. And then we're about done. We need to put some centers in our, well, we need to give the birds the eyeballs. So let me see, these are all dry. I think that one's still drying, but I'm going to use the fluid acrylics for this. And the back end of my brush. And that'll give us a perfect little round circle. I think that's about the right size. I might need a little bit smaller. I'll use a smaller brush. That's a little bit better. Set it down and lift straight up. I always save this to the last because I tend to put my hand in my paint, and I more than once put my hand in the eyeballs. So save that for one of your last things that you do. Let's put some polka dots in this one here. That'll be fun. What color do we want? Maybe some of this red. I'm not sure if it'll show up. It needs to be pretty light colored. And pretty fluid. We'll see if it works. Yeah, it's working. You could get super creative with this and do all kinds of different crazy colors and fun stuff. Let's put a little bit of purple in it too. Some purple dots around these with the bigger brush. I'll give it some bigger dots. Make some purple. Go. Just squeegeed off my brush there. This has been fun. These are almost done. Grab some purple with the bigger brush. Let's do some purple dots around in between each one of these. I think I'll outline it with yellow too to bring out the yellow down here. Notice I'm repeating my colors in multiple places. That kind of helps my color scheme kind of be cohesive, especially with something like this where you're using a lot of crazy colors. If you use the same one in multiple places, it really makes it all kind of unified. There we go. Cute. Just grab some yellow and outline it. And we'll put a little bit of a dot in the eyes. And we'll be done. I want to show you really quick how I did the purple flowers in case you want to do them the way I did on my example as well. That's good. I don't know how I got orange down here. Fun, yeah. I think if I did it again, I would put some more flowers up in here to add a few more of the flowers just for a little bit more of that crazy. Or actually, I could probably go in with my smaller dabber. In fact, I'll do that. That'll probably be a good compromise. I'll use my smaller dabber with this light blue. And just put in a few little dots with that. There we go. That's good. Kind of a way to add a little bit of color without doing a lot of work. And you can always go back in and do a second dot in those with your yellow or something like that. It's probably too wet to do it yet.
Well, the main thing is that you can make it your own. You can put as many or few flowers as you want. And same for the birds.
Exactly. Exactly. Do it however detailed you want. All right, now with the birds, I'm going to just use my liner brush here and my fluid acrylic. Just dip the tip of the brush into the paint, and you could use a stylus if you have like a metal tipped stylus tool. Make a perfect little dot. And these are still wet, so I'm going to try not to touch it too hard. Just touch just gently on the inside of the black. So I'm kind of coming in and going closer to the beak, just so that it looks like he's kind of looking out toward the beak. Otherwise, he'd look like he was cross-eyed or looking the opposite way. So if you put your dot kind of facing the beak on the upper part of the eye, just on the inside of that black circle. And let me zoom out. One last detail. Well, we're going on almost 2 hours here. You guys are hanging in there. Clean out my brush real quick. Grab a little bit more of the white And one final detail that I did to my leaves, just to kind of give it a little bit of movement, is did a little extra line around the outside of each one of these leaves. I don't know if you want to do it, but it's just kind of like a little decorative outline. I don't know. I think it added something to it. I liked it, so I left it. You can leave it out if you don't want it. If you want yours a little bit more clean. Not going all the way to the tip. I'm just kind of mainly starting at the back end and sort of wrapping it around a little bit. This is a really long video, sorry. Definitely going to do a time lapse of this. Probably do a quick tips on the birds too. Do a little 5-minute quick tip video for how to do the little birds. You could also do dots inside your leaves if you wanted to decorate them up. You could do little black dots or colored dots even. I always start with my liner brush at the back end of the leaf, and that way the thickest part will be where you start your line. So that way my end of my little decorations there were thinner. They get thinner as they go out and wrap around. Put my hand in it again.
People have no problem with the length of the video, so okay. I think they want you to go another 2-3 hours on this one at least. So,
Hey, the only thing we got planned is Olympics coverage, so it's fine. Okay, I think we're done on him. I might do, let's outline that guy. I feel like he needs a little outline. So we'll grab some pink and outline these. With a little bit of pink, give them a little bit more detail. Just to make them look a little bit more intentional. Come on. Brush doesn't want to cooperate with me there. All right, I think we're good. I think the only thing left to do is just kind of erase a little bit of our chalk lines here and there still.
Yeah, one question that was at the very beginning of the show from Sarah, and she wanted some advice on cleaning and care for your brushes.
Okay. Yeah, that is one of the things that I think is most important with beginner painters is buying good brushes. I think a lot of people skimp on the brushes. They don't want to spend a lot, and they are expensive, but if you buy they don't have to be super expensive, but around a $3 to $5 range is a good beginner brush price. So these brushes are about these brushes not on sale are about $8, but you can usually find them on 40% off coupons and things like that, and just buy them. Sometimes you can get them in sets. I got a set of 4 of these. These came in a set of 4, and I think it was $16, $15, something like that. So that was a really good price for those because those have a lifetime warranty. So that being said, definitely after I paint, because I'm using all of these brushes, I try to keep them moist until I can get them into being washed. So if you've got like a 4-hour project, you're sitting down painting for 4 hours straight, I wouldn't leave these in the water for that long because they will start to crack, and I have a lot of brushes that have done that, and it chips off the paint when you leave them in the water too long. You can obviously see that I don't practice what I preach here. So I just forget when I'm getting into my paintings. I forget to stop and clean them out. But I would stop every hour or so if you can and clean out your brushes really well if you're not going to use it again. If you're still using it, you can leave it into your water and get it out, or keep it moist. Just dip it into the water, let it set off to the side a little bit, but don't let them dry out until you clean them completely. So, and definitely don't leave paint in them setting to the side. That's one of the things that always made me crazy with my classes. And adults were as bad as the kids. It's not the adults that were doing it. It was the kids that were doing it. It's the adults we get going, and we forget, and we go to switch brushes, and we have our brush full of paint like this, and we just set it off to the side and grab a new brush. And that is a huge no-no with acrylic paints. You can't let them set with paint for any length of time to dry out, because it will ruin them. And you really don't want to get with flat brushes especially, you don't want to get the paint all the way up to the silver part. You want to keep it away from the ferrule. So with round brushes, you can go all the way up to the ferrule. They're designed for that, but with flat brushes, you want to keep them away from that. And I'm going to add another circle highlight on this since we're talking about brushes. And I use, you can use dish soap to clean them out if you need to. They can dry your brush a little bit. They pull the oils out of them. But you can definitely use dish soap. You can also use, sorry, I'm thinking, products designed for cleaning brushes. There's all kinds of different products. I've got one that's called Pink Soap that I like to use. That's the brand. And it works really well. And I just pour a little bit in my brush. I'll do one right now for you. Pour it in my hand like this. First I take them to the sink and I rinse them out in water and get as much paint out of them as I can in the water. Then I take it and I roll, but I press down nice and firmly so that that soap is getting up into that silver part of the ferrule. Kind of go back and forth. I never want to mash it down like this and rub, scrub it. I always want to kind of keep, especially with these round brushes, liners and things like that, you always want to roll it in and you can gently kind of go back and forth in your palm, work up a little bit of the lather, and you're just basically trying to work the soap up into that silver part. So, and a paint brush that I'll show with the flat brush, paintbrush that you've used a lot of times you'll see the soap change color because you're working it down in. I'm really pressing all the way down hard. I'm not mashing the bristles though. I'm always laying it flat and then pressing down nice and hard and kind of wiggling it back and forth in my palm to work that soap down into the ferrule, because that's where you get your problems, is that even if you keep the paint out of that while you're painting, the water and it just naturally kind of absorbs up into the ferrule, and if it gets trapped up there and dries, it will make your brush fuzzy and you can ruin a brush in one setting by doing that. Now there's things that you can do to kind of try to reclaim them, but it's way better just to take really good care of them. So once you get it kind of like that, then I rinse them out with running water, just not hot, not cold, just kind of right in between, doesn't matter. And then you can test it on a white paper towel and just press down on the paper towel and you'll be able to see if there's color. So it should, once you get the soap through, you may have to do the soap 2 or 3 times before you get all of the color out of it, but you definitely want to clean them well. So that is my 2 cents on that. All right, we are done with this. Isn't that fun?
We had
So
a
cute.
special request to show the other purple flower too on how you did that.
Yes, yes. So that is this one. I'm going to go ahead and just do it on this. I'll find a new spot. Let's do it over here somewhere. We'll do it up here. Okay, so I took my, this is where I used my number 4 round. I made myself some of that light purple color. And I just kind of set my brush down and did little random circles, leaving space in between. Just like that. So kind of just set it down, do it a little bit, set it down and let the brush sort of make kind of scumbling brush strokes there. Right, nothing too perfect. Then I used my light pink color, the quinacridone in white, and did it again, just using the very tip and just kind of going over on the inside of it a little bit. And that's about it. I didn't really do a whole lot else to them. Then I dabbed in with a little bit of green and white. I just took the plain old white, if I can find any, and just dabbed a few little dots of the white and made a green with the phthalo green and yellow with a little bit of white, and just dabbed some little dots of that around it. I kind of like, I don't know, I kind of like this better. I'm not sure. The other one has its merits. It's got the more kind of folk art feel. But let me zoom out. See if I can get them both side by side. So I don't know. I like them both. You can decide which one you want to do. Hope you've enjoyed it today. It's been a lot of fun for me. Sorry we went so long, but I hope you've enjoyed this video. And be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I will be back next Saturday with another live show at 2 p.m. Central. So thanks again for watching. Bye, guys.